What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a look at some cards that I genuinely didn't think were real when I first looked at them. They looked kind of fan-made, in a good way, very high-level fan-made, and it's not that I didn't think they looked like real cards. It's that I didn't expect to get TV show tie-in cards, and frankly, I expected that if these were going to come, we'd have seen them by now. Somebody posted on Facebook the other day, do you reckon we'll get some TV tie-in cards? And I almost responded like, mate, if they were coming, we'd have seen them by now. Well, it turns out we are getting Monkey D. Luffy and Roanoa Zoro TV tie-in cards, and I didn't believe they were real at first, because I did not expect to see them. But they are real, and they are awesome. Now, it seems to be that these are given out at United Cinemas Aqua City Odaiba. So, yeah, basically, you can just go and pick them up at a cinema over in Japan. It's a little bit weird. How will these get distributed elsewhere? I don't know. I imagine One Piece have been really good at basically not giving us ridiculously rare promos that we're not going to be able to get elsewhere. They've been really, really good at trying to make sure that these promos are widely available. And where we've had really awkward to get promos, take as an example the Luffy, the Gear 5 Luffy, the vanilla Gear 5 Luffy promo we had. That was originally given out at One Piece Day and was actually really awkward to get. So they then started giving it out at casual tournaments as well. They have been really, really good, and I'm sure this is deliberate, at making sure that we haven't got these promos that are really hard to get hold of. So I do imagine this will come somewhere else. And as for the inevitable question from a lot of you guys, are we getting this in English? Yeah. Because look, at this stage, as far as I'm concerned, we're getting all the promos in English. The one I had reservations about was the Shonen Jump Luffy, which was clearly a play on an old Shonen Jump magazine, which was really impactful in Japan as a really super cool promo and meant nothing to people outside of Japan. That promo got an English release. So yes, I don't know how or when or any specifics, but I feel entirely certain that we will be getting an English release of this promo, because we just get English releases of all the promos. So at this stage, I refuse to believe it's not coming out. Of course, as I record this, One Piece is debuting on Netflix tomorrow. I am hyped. I am super hyped. And here's the thing, and I think more people need to remember this. I am a huge fan of the manga. That's not the important thing. The important thing is, if this live action show is rubbish, and I don't think it's going to be, but if it is, the manga still exists. The manga where I read over 1,000 issues in the space of 3 months and got completely addicted, that still exists. That's still a thing. I can still go and read that whenever I want. So it really doesn't matter how good it is or not, because whether you love the anime or the card game or the manga, it all still exists. Although, one quick point from me, it's not an adaptation of the anime. It's not a live-action anime. It is an adaptation of the manga. It is a live-action manga. The anime is an adaptation of the manga. This is a different adaptation of the manga. The source material is the manga. There we go. One of my pet hates lately. So anyway, what do these cards actually do? Well, we do have translations. I did actually do the translations myself, but I have checked with the lovely Orange Samurai D, who has gone and checked with Ray. No idea who Ray is, but they've confirmed the translation that I had was correct, and that's important. Now, in terms of Luffy, we got 4 cost, 5,000 power, counter plus 1,000, and we've got a blue Luffy, which we've not seen very much of, but there is that promo I showed you a moment ago, which is a blue Luffy. And of course, we had the one from OPO2 with the amazing alternate artwork from Akira Igawa. We've had Luffy in every color now. That's been the case for a little while. So, yeah, we don't have many blue Luffy, but we have had a couple, and now we've got another one. What does this one do? Well, on play, you may discard 2 cards from your hand, and if you do, your opponent chooses a character they own and places it at the bottom of their deck. And this is an interesting one to me, because in theory you can bump any of your opponent's characters off the field. That's a good thing. But your opponent gets a choice. And let's stick with the Straw Hat crew for a minute. Let's talk about Nami. Nami from OPO, one great card, one we've talked about a lot. It is, and we've seen this pretty much exact card for almost every archetype at this point. It is the on play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, find a character with a particular trait that doesn't share a name with the one you just played, put it in your hand, put the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. We saw it with Rebecca in OPO4. Oh, there was a side note, because that's black and recent black decks want to be discarding cards, that actually discards the extra cards rather than puts them in your hand. But otherwise, it's the exact same kind of thing. We've seen this card a lot. But they are generally one-cost cards that you play to search out other cards, and then they just kind of sit there. If you've got a card like this on your field, you're going to be like, oh no, Luffy wants me to get rid of a character. Oh yeah, just this one. And that's actually, honestly, hurts the card a lot for me. If you can catch your opponent with only one really good character out, let's say, as an extreme example, let's go for the OPO1 Kaido, that gets rid of every character but Kaido. It would be kind of hilarious for you to then immediately play this Luffy. Your opponent would be forced to put the Kaido underneath their deck, and then you would kind of laugh while you had a decent board setup going, etc. So there are going to be times where you can basically take advantage of your opponent's poor board and wreck with this. But there are also going to be plenty of times where you play this and your opponent's like, oh yeah, I've got this really weak character I played as a support like early in the game that I can just bump, so yeah, it's really not that big of a problem. Never mind, eh? Decent, not game-breaking. As for Roanoa Zoro, we got 4 cost, 6,000 power, so we got 1,000 more power than Luffy. But we don't have a counter here. There is no counter. And we've got a similar kind of thing because it's blue and blue plays a whole control thing. On play, pay 2 Don, and you may return a character with a cost of 5 or less to their owner's hand. Now, like we see with skills like this most of the time, this is phrased in a very deliberate manner, whereby it can be your character or your opponent's. Now, it does go to the hand, not to the deck, so there is a world here, and you don't do this often, but there is a world where you play Roanoa Zoro to put a character back to your hand so that you can then replay that character and use its playability, etc. again. That will actually happen. A lot of the time here, this is just going to be getting rid of one of your opponent's characters, but here it is a cost of 5 or less. And there are plenty of decks out there that do focus on cost 5 or less characters. Law is a good example. Not as good as it used to be, admittedly, but the Law deck really is a big fan of playing 5 cost or less characters because the leader has a skill that lets you play a character of a cost of 5 or less for free. It's why it's a good example for this particular thing. Against decks like that, this is clearly going to be great, but then we all know there are plenty of big bad characters out there. Lots of decks like playing big bad characters. I don't know, let's go Whitebeard just because that deck's still seeing a redonkulous amount of play. And obviously something like that you're not going to be able to target. It's not always going to work. And basically, like a vanilla character at this stage would be 4 cost, 6,000 power, counter plus 1,000. That's what a vanilla blue character would look like. Here, you're giving up the 1,000 counter just to have this skill. And honestly, yeah, I think it's totally worth it, ladies and gentlemen. I do think a lot of the time this is going to work. Krieg is an example, by the way. It's been up on the screen. But that's your kind of vanilla character. That's what they look like. And it's fine. It's a decent enough skill. Is it good enough? Honestly, it's not bad. I can absolutely see a reason to play either of these cards. They're, like we see with a lot of promos nowadays in One Piece, they're not exactly stunning cards where we look at them and we're like, oh my word, they're full on broken. But they are still interesting cards that could be played and could see a little bit of love in some decks. So for that reason, you do need to be aware of them. For my money, I just love that they're doing a little bit of a tie-in with a card game. I find it weird they left it this long. Literally, these cards got revealed this morning, one day before it actually airs, which is weird, honestly. But the fact of the matter is, we're getting our live action One Piece. It looks amazing, and now we got some tie-in cards that could be pretty cool. Now I would like some more tie-in cards, please. And honestly, I'd love a whole tie-in set, and I know some people wouldn't, and that's fine. I personally would. But I want to know what you think about these tie-in cards and about these cards specifically, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and card games and all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.